welcome back to Veronica Live, and I'm here with Statesman John Salak. He's just like normally I'm the one that's sick, John, and today you've got the football, and you've got your cat hairball. You're coughing up over there. You have to mute your mic. I guess Did you just mute it? You just muted it.
Yes, because I'm coughing and hacking here.
Well, we've had a tremendous show already with Representative Griff Griffiths. Over in Florida's legislature, and the sausage making is brutal, as we see. And if you don't have a sponsor, you're toast. And then I'm still reeling from former Congressman Jeff Davis of Kentucky, who's a show regular as well, saying his prediction is that we will not win the White House in November. And I'm kind of feeling that way because it's so bloody. Everybody says politics is a blood sport, but on social media, it is like cut your throat sport. So,
well, you have, and not only that, we have to overcome the Democrats cheating on the elections also. So, there's so many ways to do it. The mail. I'm really concerned about this mail ballot system. And I'll go back to something I saw. I guess. Our representative Neil Dunn.
Wait, I want to tell you, because remember how you got your ballot mega late?
Yeah, a week after the election.
Okay,
I got
so
my
listen
ballot.
to this. Sadly, my son and daughter-in-law's dog died right before Easter. I sent a condolence card, which they just got. So where has it been? Because it had to go through Atlanta.
Right.
So I'm very concerned, John, about.
Well, the issue
I
is
can't even send a condolence card.
The post office is redoing their mail distribution system. Okay, they're going to these centralized mail processing systems or centers, and there's, I guess, 9 of them or something like that around the country. So all the mail's getting filtered through these places, and the problem is they are grossly understaffed. And the one I got information on up south of Atlanta was they're short 500 people a day.
Well,
500 to
definitely,
600
because
people
I
a
had
day.
an eBay order, because Dr. eBay, I had to see my therapist on eBay, and that was lost for,
Yep.
I actually sent the center something, that was lost for a couple weeks as well. And so I've had 2 things now. So I try to do UPS because I know it's going to get there, but I'm concerned, one a letter and one a package from something that I'd ordered.
Right, and Congressman Dunn sent out an email or something about a week or 2 ago saying Tallahassee's got some kind of mail foul-up system over there where they're having the same problem, where people aren't getting their mail, and it's taken 4, 5, 6 days, to get things that should take 1 day. And there's something going on. So the postmaster is investigating, whatever that means. I think the whole thing is there's a whole big disaster going on, and this relying on mail votes.
How perfect is that with November right around the corner? That all this hits the fan.
So what's going to happen, Veronica, is they're going to sit there and declare that they'll take mail-in ballots, weeks after the election, after Election Day, and they'll fiddle with the damn results until they get what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing I foresee in this. It's like, oh, well, the central processing system is understaffed, so we're going to extend, unilaterally, no matter what the state law is, we're going to extend it, for 2 weeks, that you can get your ballot back. Because it's not just getting the ballot to me, okay? So it was going from Panama City to Georgia, okay? I can drive that distance in 5 hours. Almost 3 weeks to get a absentee ballot delivered. 3 weeks. Now that's one way.
With a little condolence card.
I know, but then it has to go.
And then my eBay
back.
order coming into me, because it did go through, because you could see where it was going through, and it was going through Atlanta. And more than, literally, I think it was almost 3 weeks. I thought the stuff was lost, honestly.
Right.
They're
consolidating these smaller mail processing centers into these giant things, and the post office workers that are at the other ones don't want to move.
Yeah.
Because they have to drive, 2 hours to get to work. So they're saying we're not moving, we're not going.
Well, then goodbye, and let's hire the next person so I can actually get my letter or your ballot or my package.
It's all union though, so you got to deal with that, because the whole thing. I just foresee this relying on mail ballots that the Republicans are pushing for is going to be a disaster. It really is. So to me, it's like show up and plan on voting, and that's kind of the way I am right now. It's like I'm not going to take a chance on the mail ballot for
Yeah.
the November election. It's too important.
No. You
If I
can't.
have to drive down here to vote, I'll drive down here all night to vote.
You're gonna have to drive down because it's too important. And then I love Congressman Davis, but he definitely doesn't like Congressman Gates. And every time I hear Congressman Gates talking, it's what I want to hear. So I don't consider myself a crazy MAGA person, But I don't know. It's just I really don't want another speaker because it's been painful kicking out McCarthy and getting Speaker Johnson now. So we don't need that because right now the election's too critical. But who is pulling his strings now?
Well, that's kind of where I'm at right now. To me, it's for what Marjorie Taylor Greene's trying to do right now is too late. Okay,
Yeah.
We are way past everything. Look, we impeached Mayorkas, right? Finally did something. They impeached somebody. Okay, they impeached Mayorkas, which I'll give them credit for. He needed to be impeached, and they did the job. Okay, so you need to put that in the plus column. That you have the other side of this is vacating the speaker. What's your plan? What is your plan? It only runs this session. These people that are elected now only run from now to January. So we're down to what, 7-8 months?
Oh my gosh.
Left in this congressional cycle. So it's like, and then you want to spend another 2 months grinding through a speaker, trying to find another speaker after all these votes?
We don't have time because
right.
I cannot,
and that's why I don't understand.
I cannot deal with like literally Biden is so cringeworthy. And this week talking about his uncle and cannibalism in New Guinea and I mean, it's so pathetic. And then did you see the soundbite with Raggedy Ann, KJP, trying to she's fluttering her eyeballs and, well, he was just in the moment fluttering her eyeballs. And I'm like, what is wrong? And then of course she always engages Peter Doocy because, she's like, this isn't a joke. Well, it is a joke. We're a joke on the world stage. And every week Biden is the dementia guy that keeps on giving. And it's literally awful. And then he had an event. Did you see that event? It wasn't even, it was empty. I think it was up in Pennsylvania. And so I commented, I guess they ran out of their free, Amazon gift cards because nobody was there.
They have to bust people in to get any kind of audience and pay them.
Yes.
But it's just, like I said, the difference between him and Trump is enormous as far as audience. Unfortunately, I don't know that translates into votes, but again, because of all the cheating the Democrats do, and they do cheat. Okay, they will cheat, lie, and steal to win an election.
What are we seeing? Because today or yesterday, dumbass the AG from New York has come out and said, the bond that Trump has put forward, the $175 million, it's not good enough. Whoever is funding the money isn't capable because they're a small business, something like that.
Yeah.
Every day, I'm like, oh, great. I commented on X. I'm like, okay, let's poke the Trump bear again. Every day. I'm so sick of this woman. I'm sick of these people.
They have to stay in the news cycle. That's what this is all about, It's the crap with Alvin Bragg, the judge in that case. It's amazing how trampled on Trump's rights are. He's being tried as a criminal, okay, and this is a criminal prosecution, and his rights are just being trampled on left and right. The judge is telling his lawyers, you can't question this and you can't question that, and it's like, what do you mean? We're lawyers. We're here. That's our right, is to question your decisions. And the gag order. It's like, okay, here you have Michael Avenatti on MSNBC talking about Trump, but the gag order says Trump can't say anything about Avenatti. It's like, well, if you're going to have a gag order to keep people from talking, then make it for everybody, including the witnesses, But no, it just applies to Trump only. And it just to me, it just doesn't make any, I won't say it makes any sense. It makes perfect sense when you dealing with the corrupt justice system. It makes perfect sense, and that's what we're dealing with.
Well,
here.
It's so corrupt.
Right.
And then I follow the governor of New York and then the mayor of New York, and so now they're trying to handle crime and shoplifting, and so it's really fun to go just read the comments, because like people are so done with these people, like that's supposed to make us all feel better, So I don't know. I've definitely been getting so much traction on Twitter when it said White House defends Biden's claim his uncle was eaten by cannibals. I said, how can you defend fiction? That's gone viral too.
I thought they just discounted it twice already. They said it's not. They'd walked it back, but
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so embarrassing.
But the 12 people. Trump's got a jury, and you go through the 12 people on it.
Let's look at the 12 people, because that's in our stack of stuff, and they seem educated. So it's not like they've got somebody that's not educated. So you got somebody in Hell's Kitchen. Oh, that's so good to eat in Hell's Kitchen in New York around there. They've got a good Japanese little restaurant. He's in investment banking. There's somebody in the West Village, so that's a high-end neighborhood in New York. He's a security engineer, has 3 children. Upper East Side, also nice. Oh, he's originally from Lebanon, retired, and enjoys fly fishing. How do they get these details?
They got a lot of stuff on these people.
A woman who works as a speech therapist, so she's making good money.
Liberal.
Okay, Murray Hill man. I don't know where Murray Hill man works as an eyewear company. At an eyewear company, and enjoys the outdoors. Okay. And then a woman from Cali who lives in the Upper Manhattan and works in product development.
Oh my God, definitely a liberal, uber liberal.
Okay. Upper East Side woman who works as a physical therapist and enjoys tennis and paddleboarding.
Yep.
How do we know this?
Another one. Well, there's some common things about all these people that apparently almost all of them exclusively get their news from the New York Times and CNN, which shows that tells you. That's what I'm saying. These people are leftist liberals. They're not. There's not a jury of his peers here. Okay.
Well, 7 Manhattanites joined 5 other jurors were selected earlier this week. So a West Harlem man, originally from Ireland. I was going to say, he's black. No, he's from Ireland. No. He's white, who works in sales and will serve as the jury's foreperson. A man who lives in Chelsea. Well, and he's a corporate lawyer. I was going to say that's a fancy neighborhood. Another woman lives in Harlem her whole life and works in education. Another woman in Chelsea works as a software engineer. And then another man from the Upper East Side that works as a practicing civil litigation lawyer. Okay, we've got some educated people here. Investment banking, speech therapist, physical therapist, corporate lawyer, software engineer. I mean, they're all educated, John. It's not like they're not. They all have degrees, and they've all paid taxes in New York. And when you live in New York City, you pay New York City tax too. New York State tax, and then your federal tax. So it's the state that keeps on not given but taken.
Well, it comes down to, particularly on the lawyer side, whether the lawyers, if they're activist lawyers, and that's what we don't know, or are they textualist, like Alito was, or and Clarence Thomas are, because this is a novel application of the law that Bragg is coming up with.
Why do you think they're allowing 2 lawyers on a trial? To be juror. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Well, that's what it kind of surprised me, because lawyers are officers of the court, and usually officers of the court. That's on my jury summons. It says there, if you're a policeman, like a gun-toting kind of policeman, you don't have to serve on the jury. Because you're going to be biased, right? You're going to be biased towards law enforcement. So the lawyers.
So practicing
the problems with the lawyers,
litigation. So is that divorces? What's the definition of civil litigation?
Court. It's probably. Well, civil certainly would be that. Lawsuits could be a trip and fall. Lawyer. One of the ambulance chasers. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just hard to say. And of course, the fact they get their news from CNN and New York Times,
which CNN it's so biased, and they hate white people so much. Yeah. So I always listen to CNN on Saturday mornings because they're like a live show early, and the black anchor that this morning was just off the chain because I guess there's some sort of event happening over in Savannah, and the mayor and the cops are like, it's on an island off of there, and it's been out of control, like all these spring breaks, like Daytona,
St. Simon's Island.
Even this year, where we live, Panama City Beach had a little craziness too, and our people don't allow it. You can't drink on the beach, and so the anchor kept trying to get the guests to say it was because black colleges were coming and they didn't like black people. He literally tried to say this multiple times, and I'm like, no, that is not what the community just doesn't want. Destruction, drunks, and drugs, and debauchery is what it comes down to. So, oh my gosh, it was so painful listening to that. But I mean, back to this case. I mean, these are definitely educated people, John.
Well, I just don't think he's going to get a fair trial.
I
don't think it's possible, and the fact that they're wanting to drag it out, I can't imagine how 6 weeks. What are they going to be doing for 6 weeks?
I have no idea. And really, what is the? I mean, can't you pay somebody money if it's not campaign funds? So I still don't understand how this is a real case. I've got to try to get Jason on.
Well,
here.
It's first off, the statute of limitations on everything has run. Okay, so they're trying it on some trumped up thing that was because of the pandemic. Somebody extended the statute of limitations unilaterally by 1 year, and I think that's a New York thing. And so it's like, okay, the second part is the federal government has looked at all this stuff, and the Federal Election Commission is the one that should have brought, if this had been actual law breaking, the Federal Election Commission is the one that would have brought the charges. And they looked at it and said, nope, it's not a campaign expense. So what Alvin Bragg's trying to do is tie this campaign expense to a secondary crime. Now here's the problem. You have to have this secondary crime to turn it into a felony. And Bragg won't say what the secondary crime is. They won't tell the Trump people what the crime is he's being charged with. But how can you go
and prepare and go to trial and not know what you're being tried for?
Can't. Because what Bragg did with this judge, Bragg gave them 4 possible crimes, but wouldn't say which one. He gave them 4 possibilities, and the judge approved them.
How is this even possible?
Because you have
so monkey banana republic,
right?
That it's out of control.
Veronica, they won't even tell him who the witness is. The trial starts on Monday, right?
That was like
they won't even tell him who the witness is going to be on Monday.
Investigate the witnesses and see if they're credible or they've got some skeletons in their closet.
How do you prepare a defense?
I don't understand
how can you do a defense if you don't even know who the witness is? And they get up there and you're like, and then the witness starts talking and it's like, I don't know how to defend against this on a cross-examination because we've had no time to prepare for it. I mean, you're supposed to give the defense a list of witnesses.
Well, when you watch like Law and Orders, it takes them a long time to prepare for a case, right?
Right. So
I mean, why are they doing this? Then?
Well, and then what's gonna happen is Trump's lawyers are going to sit there and object to not being able to be prepared to cross-examine the witness because they didn't have any notice of who the witness was, and then the judge is going to say, nope, we're going to go on with the trial. So his rights are being compromised again and again and again and again because he's Trump. It's get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. And that's why this judge, this was not a randomly picked judge either, by the way. This judge was intentionally, specifically picked for this case. And his daughter is some kind of Democrat activist. The judge has contributed to the Biden campaign, another Democrat activist, judge. So it's like, how in the world do you possibly get a fair trial in this kind of a state of quote justice? It's not justice.
I don't know. But then we just had the congressman on, and he doesn't think a lot of this is he thinks he should be tried on on the classified documents.
I disagree 100% with him on that because the congressman, what Congressman Davis was applying was he was saying, well, if I had done that, I would be charged. Damn right you would be charged because you are not the president of the United States. You do not have the authority to unilaterally declassify anything you want that's intelligence. And that's the difference right there is the president is the ultimate declassification authority. If he says it's unclassified, it's declassified. Period. That's the end of the discussion. It is his unilateral right under the executive powers. And
when I reflect back, because there was somebody this week that said that all of this was timed for this year, leading up to the election, to tie Trump in fully because he didn't step away and he decided to run again. And then we had this tweet too. Congressman Benny Johnson is calling for Trump to go to jail and to have all of his Secret Service pulled away, because I guess it's like $6 million to protect Trump a year while he's in prison. And is this not targeting Trump? I mean, this is this congressman or senator, I think he's a senator, is a full-on terrorist at this point. I mean, this is what they want. They just want convicted felon. Let's put handcuffs on him. He can't go to his son's graduation. If he goes, we're going to arrest him, and then we're going to send him to prison and give him no security. I mean, I think the prisoners probably would love Trump, actually. I have to say that.
Right. Well, the fact is they want what Benny Johnson, who was the chairman of the Democrat House January 6th committee. Right? Remember, that's who you're dealing with here. What he's proposing is eliminating Trump's Secret Service protection, and in that way, because if Trump goes, if they tried to put Trump in jail, the Secret Service is going to override that. Okay, because their duty is to protect him, and the only way to protect him would be to shut down the entire jail so that he has no ability for any other prisoner to get anywhere near him, because they have to control access. So it means you send the Secret Service guys to jail too, basically. Yeah. And so it's like from a practical matter, they'd basically have to shut down the entire section of the prison that Trump's in, and not allow anybody else in. And the Secret Service would have to control it. Would have to have control of the jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they control access to Trump.
Well, the CNN or ESPN commentator, the black guy Stephen A. Smith, he's always yelling because Malcolm had him on the other day, and I was like, why is that guy always yelling? I didn't realize. Well, he's come out and said that Donald Trump's criminal trial just shows liberals are scared that they can't beat him on the issues and the merits, and that this is what it is all about. But I was thinking about it yesterday, and a former president of the United States that hasn't killed anybody. The rape thing was definitely fake. The Stormy Daniels, people are always, when you comment on it, they're like, oh, you're for a man that, had affairs and, had sex with a porn star. I don't know what he did. I don't know. I know he's not perfect, but I don't. This is what sends him to jail. I mean, granted, I wish it was Saint Trump and he only had one wife and there was never any porn stars. But I can tell you this: looking at President Biden, who can vote for that? When dismembering babies up until birth or after is okay. Yeah. He's walking around lost with world leaders. Give him a microphone. His uncle's being eaten by what were they, pygmies on New Guinea, which is so not true. I'll share the pictures because I got to ask my brother to send them to me. Literally, the pygmies were 2 feet tall, and the one picture that reflects in my mind, because my American grandfather was a bomber pilot and was shot down over New Guinea, and there's little New Guinea women. They're topless. And so here's the American men with their arm around them, and one's like holding the breast of the little New Guinea woman, and she's kind of looking down at his hand, and they pose for a picture like this. So I haven't seen these pictures in probably 20 years, but that one is like imprinted in my brain because
you can't unsee it, huh?
Because pilots are always, men.
Yeah, pilots.
Which there's nothing sexual really, because they're like 2 feet tall. in their grass skirts. But I've got to get a hold of those pictures to share. But I'm saying these people were so little. There's no way they were like killing tall American men, you know. But no, just when you think about it all, John, how did we ever get here with such disrespect for a president? You know, the one that should have been in jail was Clinton having sex with an intern in the frickin' White House. Well, I mean, nothing happened to these people. And Mayorkas, nothing. And our border is being overrun. And, you know, I commented on a story because on X2, because now for sure more, you know, Venezuelan gang members are coming through, you know, and Director Ray lets us know that again this week. And so I wrote, what is the FBI doing? What are they doing for us? They're just sending out sound bites. We know they're here. You're good luck.
Well, we don't hold people accountable anymore, and that's the problem. It's like when there's no consequences for bad behavior, what happens? The behavior continues. So you know it kind of goes. You know, people used to have respect for the law. It's a total package here. Okay, these Trump trials, you got half the country, the MAGA people, whatever you want to call them, the Trump supporters, are looking at this saying this is blatantly unfair. They're using the law to prosecute Trump because that's the only way they can try to get him. And so you lose respect for the law, which I've completely lost respect for the law. You know, that's not the way I grew
where
up. Okay,
are the good
that's not
lawyers?
the way I grew
I mean,
up.
you and I know lots of, you know, like Jason Gonzalez, who's been a regular on Veronica Live. I mean, he leads the way. He's not, you know, he's not woke. He's got his anti-woke firm. He's fighting for justice. You know, is Florida the only state that has good lawyers? There's got to be some good lawyers.
Well,
in
I
New
think
York,
that's what it's coming down
you
to
know?
is you have the states, and perhaps that's the way the country is designed to work. You know, the states have always been, you know, not there was never an intention to have the states be uniform. The states were always supposed to be different, you know. So if you like the what this state does or their characteristics or whatever, you know, Pennsylvania, good example, Quakers, okay? The founding of Pennsylvania had a lot to do with the Quakers. So if you were a Quaker, you were probably going to be drawn to Pennsylvania as opposed to going to, I don't know, Maine or something, you know, I don't know, pick some other state. But, you know, the idea was the states were not uniform. The federal government was supposed to be, that's why states allocate power to the federal government. And it's not the other way around. So the states were supposed to be the experimental places. And if you didn't like this state's policies, then get up and move to another state. If you don't like California and all the taxes and stuff, do what thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of Californians are doing. Move somewhere else like Texas, you know, or Florida. You know, if you don't like New York and all that crap, move out of New York and move to Florida. And that's what's happening. That's what people are doing. That's the way it's supposed to work. I would never move to New York. You couldn't offer me anything.
Well, I can't afford
to move to New York.
New York.
Nothing.
Well, and it was funny. Drudge had an MSNBC story that said that this week, like loads of the headline was in red saying that all these millionaires were in their private jets leaving New York, but then you go to click on the story and it was taken down. So I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? You know, I think people are fleeing New York. It's out of control rent wise. You can't afford it. It's just so crazy.
Well, you know, if you look at it from a practical standpoint, okay, if I'm in a business and whatever it is, say I'm being paid $10 million a year, you know, if I live in New York is going to seize, you know, at least 25% of that is going to go to New York, maybe even 30 or 40%.
Yeah, it's going to be more.
So why would I not want to move to Florida where they're not going to seize any of it?
So far.
Because we don't have state income tax, right? So,
that's crazy. Did you see the ad? It was all of the Kennedy family came out in support of in support of Biden. I mean, poor RFK. I was like, well, I commented on X saying, well, I don't think he's talking to his sister now. Literally, the entire Kennedy, and plus they are not attractive people. I don't normally talk about looks, but they're not attractive people. And how embarrassing I feel bad for RFK because they're so worried he's going to take votes not from Trump, but from Biden.
Oh, I think that's exactly what that is
Right?
all about. That is exactly what that's all about, because the Kennedys want to maintain some form of Democrat. I don't know what the word influence is, probably the best word to use, where they can have some influence on the Democrat Party, because RFK is not a party. He's just
Yeah.
himself. He's running as an independent, and I think they want to preserve their status in the Democrat Party.
Well,
So
I wrote when your
they're
family ditches you, you know,
yeah.
and then somebody wrote RFK just received the endorsement money can't buy, you know. I just cannot believe that the whole like they have a whole commercial. I saw them recently, all at the White House, and the buffoonery of Biden. It's just every day. It is so horrific, and nobody. All the left, leaning media, they don't want to report on this, but it's out of control. And then the biggest endorsement this week was Attorney General, was it William Barr, that worked
Yep.
for Trump, hates Trump. Trump, anti-Trumper, came out and said he is voting for Trump. Because we can't live like this, destroying everything.
We can't, because there won't be anything left of the country. If another 4 years of Biden and a Democrat-run House or Senate, there's nothing left of this country. I mean, they were literally
I
destroying.
read a quote somewhere, somebody said this week, that it's national suicide what this man is doing to our country,
Right.
or whoever's running. It's not him.
Well, the other thing that people don't remember is in 2025, very critical, all the income tax rates go back to what they
My
were
husband
prior to
remembered
Trump.
that.
Okay,
He
prior to
remembered
Trump.
that on April 15th.
Yeah, you're gonna
It
want
was
to
already
remember
painful
that.
this year,
Well, that's one of our political cartoons this week. It's like you got these two people coming down the escalator. It says IRS on the wall, and it says, "How do we fix our tax system?" And the response was, "Change election date is April 16th." And I
literally,
saw that,
everybody
and I was
I know and people that are not making high incomes paid a lot of money in taxes.
yeah,
They paid a lot.
That's exactly where I was.
Everybody commented that they've never paid this much.
Well, you haven't, and then you going through these tax forms, and I don't use the computer. I go through the forms and do them by hand.
Oh dear Lord, John,
And-
please join because it's already painful enough.
If you just but you have to try to understand what this stuff's about. And I'm going through this one form, and of course, I get Social Security, right? So I'm going through the Social Security worksheet. It says, put down the number from 1040 line 20, in this spot, and
That's
then
why you need to do it on the
Right.
computer, because you can click it; it'll tell you what it's supposed to be.
well, you're trying to figure out what all this stuff is. It says multiply line 10 by 85%, and then it's 0.85, okay? And then it says multiply whatever the answer was for the 0.85 by 0.15 and enter here. And then the next one is enter the smaller of line, 11 or 12. And I'm like, what the hell is all this about, All this stupid machinations. Is like, what's the point of all this stuff, Why can't you just say, put the number down and here's the tax on it? And then because I have a farm, and I've got tractors and mowers and seeding and all this kind of stuff. So now I've got expenses, on the farm. And of course I have to go through and depreciate the equipment. And I'm looking at this depreciation form. I'm like, are you freaking
Did you say
joking
it has
me?
a seatbelt? Well, that's
it's
why you marry
insane.
well, and your husband does it for you. But
It's insane.
but I know it was painful for him, and then he's always he did my daughters too. So he's a saint. We have our own little CPA office going over here. But no, I know people that don't make a lot of money and they were paying, and my husband did comment on that. He's like, oh my gosh, if we don't take the White House, those Trump, tax breaks, we are screwed.
The 2025 taxes are going to go up dramatically.
Yet he
and they
comes out and wants to pay off everybody's college tuition,
Right.
loans. And so that was a funny thing, because again today, CNN had a black woman on there, and well, this when you have a $10 or $20 or $30,000 loan, it delays life choices of like having children or
Right.
buying a house. I'm like, nobody's paid for my stuff. I'm tired of paying for everybody else.
And you know what the average income is of the people whose loans are that qualify for being relieved of the student loans? $150,000 a year is the average income.
Well, even Elon Musk commented, he just put "wow" on there when it came out to all this, and I said, could somebody please pay for my house and my car payment?
Right.
Because nobody gives me anything.
Well,
I have to work for everything, and I don't want to have to pay for your stupid basket weaving degree because you just decided to party that first year of college, and now you owe $30,000. That's not my problem.
Right.
So,
you're in college, you're an adult. You need to make adult decisions and take adult responsibilities. And it's too bad, So, when I took out student loans, years ago, but I paid them all off. I paid them off as quick as I could get them paid off because I didn't like paying the interest on them and stuff.
Well, I did love this story. Ilhan Omar's daughter suspended from college for involvement in an anti-Israeli encampment, which I didn't know she had a daughter. And I wrote, Omar raised an anti-American, just what our country needs, John.
Yep. Well,
and that's somebody who probably wants me to pay off her damn loan.
Yeah, that was we were just talking with Congressman Davis. That's one area that I kind of disagree with him on as far as the Middle East goes. I don't think there is a peaceable solution because I don't think any of the Palestinians are willing to accept Israel under any circumstances, ever. So this whole thing about two-state solutions and stuff, you're talking past one of the participants, and they're never going to go for it. It's like they've got their two-state solution. They got the Gaza. And the Israelis withdrew and said, "Here it is. Do what you want with it. It's your land. Do what you want with it." And we saw what they did with it. They transformed it into a base to attack Israel. That's what the Palestinians have done for the past 20 years, and we've paid for it. We've paid billions and billions and billions of dollars for it. The Saudis have paid for it. Everybody's paid for it. And instead of turning it into a tropical paradise or some kind of, Riviera on the Mediterranean, they turn it into a military encampment designed to attack Israel. So why blame Israel?
Well, why
not blame the people that did it?
Exactly. Well, because they forget about the atrocities at this point. Another little headline that made me smile was Joe Biden was left off Time's 100 most influential lists for first time in his presidency because he's a buffoon. So I've got a lot of traction. I wrote, finally, Time gets it right. Good job. Which I'm shocked because you'd think in this election that they would be, wanting him on the list as some more kabuki theater. This is so crazy. But I wrote also on X, every day's a Shiza show with this old guy and his team. Remember, too, his Shepherd bit Secret Service 25 times. They didn't care. Coke in a baggie in the White House from who knows who. Trans person goes topless on the White House grounds. Hunter's always there on a leash. And Transgender Day proclamation on Easter. What did I miss? So much craziness. I mean, every day. And that's
it's designed to tear America down. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to... That's what this whole thing, the Death to America crowd, they mean it. They're not joking, okay? It's not just political. They actually believe it.
Well,
and to me, it's like, the first thing they should do with every one of those Death to America people out there, if they're not a U.S. citizen, deport their ass right out of this country.
Yeah.
That should... I'm not taught... We should not be fooling around. And the problem is, we keep fooling around. We won't do anything about it.
Right.
So, The stupidity of our government is just astonishing to me, and I'll get a couple of stories in the stack this week that really caught my attention. The first one was Navy seeks urgent replenishment of $1 billion,
I know.
$1 billion
That number
in
is
munitions
scary.
for countering Iran-led strikes in the Middle East. We are shooting missiles that cost $2 to $5 million a piece at drones that cost $10,000. I mean, this is insanity on I don't know what kind of level, but that's what we're doing. And then the Navy shoots all these missiles, you know, and then comes back to, oh, well, we spent $1 billion on missiles to shoot down, $100,000 worth of drones, and it's like there's something wrong here. Okay, do you not get something's wrong here? And so what do we do? Nothing. We do nothing except spend more money that we don't have. Print more money to buy missiles that
well,
we can
it is funny. Even Trudeau's having a hard time because I didn't know what this was. So the headline was PM Justice Trudeau to introduce halal mortgage for Muslims in Canada, or halal, however they say that. Because I guess true Muslims are not supposed to take a loan out with interest.
That's correct.
So he must need.
That is correct.
So he's going to make it zero so that they can get loans, and I'm like, wow, so they must be buying their homes with cash. What a concept, zero. But he must need to be buying, votes as well by doing this. And
so why does it just apply to Muslims? What about regular people?
Right.
Why is it? I don't.
I don't know. And Mr.
It's sort of like being
Wonderful,
transgender. If I walk into a women's bathroom and take off my clothes and say, "Hey, I'm a trans woman," is that all it takes?
well, everything's a mess. Like all of it. We don't have the munitions we need.
Because
nothing happens to Mayorkas. Our border's being overrun every single day. I don't know. Conflict's still in Ukraine, but where's the peace envoy? I don't know.
Well, I think it all goes back to this lack of a moral foundation.
Yeah.
Is where go back to first principles. If you don't have a moral foundation, you can't make judgments about what's right and wrong. Mm-hmm. Because the only way to know what's right and wrong is to have a moral foundation. You have, either you believe in good and evil, either you believe in God or you don't. If you don't believe in God, then what do you believe in? That you're just a random, speck in the universe? Is that your mental philosophy? And then if that's the case, then relative truth makes sense. It's all based on how you perceive the world. That's what's true and not true, as opposed to believing in God and God-given rights. And then that comes down to, if you've got natural rights, now you've got a framework, and you have certitude of what the truth is. Then you can make a judgment call about what's, you can make a moral decision about right and wrong. And that's where we've broke down in this country.
Well, you just walk around, and all these people have green hair, and the nose rings push me over the edge. They literally, and they have like devil horns. I can't even take. And I'm like, how is this attractive to the opposite sex or whatever's going on? It is not. And they're all wearing the manga Japanese cartoon character shirts. Mm-hmm. There's just no God anywhere, and I don't know how. And it comes down to all these broken homes too. So I don't know how we get God back when nobody cares, and I think it is the lack of morality that's causing so much of this, because they don't care. Oh, kill a baby, doesn't matter.
Well, they're not willing to recognize evil and all the forms that evil takes, and that you have to destroy evil. So that goes back to, start with abortion. If you don't respect life, then if you think you're aborting a person, or you're aborting a tissue culture, as Obama likes to say. What is it?
So yeah, I know, it's awful. Did you see the Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, I can't see his name.
Gorsuch
nukes Joe Biden's DOJ over the January 6 sentences. And
yes.
He listed multiple cases who obstructed congressional proceedings without receiving a 20-year sentence. And like sit-ins at the trial, Kavanaugh protests, pulling a fire alarm, that was Representative Stupid Bowman, hecklers in the crowd for Palestine, mostly peaceful protests for BML, yeah, right. So I didn't know if you saw that, because I'm really hoping they do the right thing, and because we have all these people rotting in jail over nothing, and then people that burn down millions of dollars of buildings for BML get no jail time.
Yeah, well, it's back to inventing unique things there. It's this particularly this thing about interfering with official proceedings. That is so undefined and so unbound. It's you could apply it to anything. It's like the bridge people there. They're blocking the bridge, so that means that now the guy can't get to the representative can't get to the state house to make a vote, or the bureaucrat can't get to do their job, So now you're interfering with an official proceeding, and it makes the government this supreme being, basically, is what the government becomes. When you interfere with the supreme being, now you're liable to go to prison for it. And there was something else that I saw. I think it might be the Columbia protesters. This big been in the news the past couple of days there.
Yeah.
The
covering their faces because they don't want us to know who they are because they're not brave enough.
But some of them that were arrested for interfering with an official proceeding, which I thought was interesting. So it's not just to January 6th that they're trying to apply this stuff. They're trying to apply it to all kinds of stuff now. And I think it's a very dangerous road to go down when you say the fact that you interfered with a government procedure or proceeding, that means you can't protest anything. Because every protest
it's freedom of speech. You can say death to America, nothing happens to you.
Right.
So the standard on one side is like we're putting these people in jail forever, and on the other one is like, oh, not a problem. The one story that was in our stack was DHS confirms Laken Riley's alleged murderer was paroled into the U.S. illegally. So once again, this is thanks Mayorkas and Biden. A beautiful girl's life snuffed out by allowing this loser, into the country that should have been not here, should have already been deported. So, yeah, that story was painful, John.
Well, I'm glad to see that he was impeached. I was disappointed but not surprised that Schumer went over there and just basically said, we're not going to try him. They didn't even listen to anything the House had to say. They just unilaterally decided, this is political. We're not going to even bother with it. And back to be careful what you ask for, because if the Republicans get a hold of the Senate and the Democrats are running the House and Trump gets elected, I guarantee you they're going to impeach him again and again and again. And what they ought to do the Senate, the Republicans ought to just say, and this isn't Mitch McConnell because he won't be the leader anymore. But whoever the leader is, hopefully has enough cojones to sit there and say, you can impeach Trump all day long. As soon as you bring the charges over, we're just going to table them. We're not even going to look at him. We'll just table them. That's the precedent that your Democrat Senate set for Mayorkas, and that's the way they're going to treat you.
And again, we know it was fake with Trump. So, right. What does it mean? The other story that was, I sent it now to my husband because it cracked me up, that the Marine Aviator of the Year was a drone pilot. and all of the fighter pilots wet their pants. Okay, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you aren't involved in the military, a drone pilot is not a fighter pilot or a heavy pilot or a helicopter pilot. You're sitting in a chair like a video machine, and you're not going to crash and die and burn. So what the hell? They're trying to equate it, John, to being a real pilot. I mean, I respect drone pilots. When they were coming online at the beginning of around 2000, I used to do when I worked at Nellis Air Force Base, Creech Air Force Base is where all the drone stuff was happening.
Yep.
And I did multiple VIP tours with leading congressional leaders and military leaders to educate them on the importance of what drones can do. I love drones. They're important. Nobody's in harm's way. But you are not a freaking real pilot.
Right.
You would take it away from a real pilot flying $100 million F-22. Give me a break.
Well, first off,
a bomber for 33 hours. I just saw some B-52 mission that they flew, and it was like, they normally have, companion crews, but it was like a 33-hour, I think it was 33-hour mission. Yep. So give me a frickin' break.
We went out on a P-3s, going out on a 14-hour-long mission was not unusual. We usually go out during our deployments, 10 to 14 hours.
Yeah. My husband's flown in an F-15 for 10 hours over Operation Northern Watch to ensure that Saddam wasn't flying. 10 hours with no bathroom. You're 6'3" trapped. You can't get up. I don't even know how he did it because I can't, just doing the show, I'm like, that's a long time. I wouldn't make it 10 hours.
But the fact is there's the danger factor also. The fact flying military is very hazardous. Okay, the outcomes. You read the accident reports. The outcomes are not always really very good. You don't get out. P3s. We didn't have ejection seats. You either bailed out or you crashed into the ocean. Those were your only two options if stuff went wrong. So it's a dangerous thing. But the drone guys, they just they're in this little building, and
it's nice, and you can come and go, and you can go potty, and you can have your drink there, and I did it for years.
It's all antiseptic, to me it's like you're in this box, you're playing a video game. You're in a box playing a video game, okay? That's what a drone pilot is. And the fact that I don't even know why they wear flight suits, okay?
Well, come on.
The reason we wore flight
nice.
suits.
It's comfortable. A really good drone
the reason
movie
we wore
is
flight
that
suits is because of fire. They're made out of Nomex. Okay, there's a purpose for flights. Okay,
right.
It's not just to look good, but it's made out of Nomex so that if you get into a fire,
and then. When they used to hang in my laundry room, my husband's 6'3", and so these things were like huge. I always thought they were like Dementors out of Harry Potter's book because I would occasionally scream because they'd scare me.
Yeah.
No, but a really good movie is called Eye in the Sky. With it came out in 2015 with Helen Mirren, and it was one of the Harry Potter actors is in it, and it's an excellent movie about being a drone pilot, but it is not. It's not like being a real pilot, and no, sorry.
The only reason that they have military
pilots must be mad in the Marines. I'm telling you.
Well, they should be. They should be. But the only reason that you have a military officer pilot, quote pilot, on that drone is because when you launch a weapon, it has to be an officer launching the weapon. Okay.
Well,
you can't have the contractor.
That are drone pilots want to be fighter pilots, or when I was working drone issues, a lot were real fighter pilots that came and did this for a couple years because the Air Force needed them to oversee it. Plus, you kind of want somebody, with combat, tactical fighter skills, whatever, that can think in a warfare mindset, kind of leading this mission here. So. Oh my goodness! But yeah,
and the fact is, most of the drones are flown and operated by contractors. It's not the military. It's the contractors basically run the programs for them. And so I just have a basic problem here with giving Aviator of the Year to a drone pilot.
No,
I mean it's not aviation. Okay, it's not aviation.
It's video game is what it is,
right?
So
they should get the Video Gamer of the Year award, maybe not pilot. Pilot is the operative word, okay?
Well, the other story I wanted you to brief everybody on of importance was the Boeing. I'm trying to find it here in our stack. What's the title of that one? The Boeing story. You're on cold beds, and I can't find it.
What we learned from the Boeing hearings, Of course, the Congress has to get involved in the Boeing mess over there. Yeah. So they call Boeing on the carpet, because they want to pass legislation to fix Boeing's safety problems. And Boeing's you can't legislate a business problem. Okay, let's start with the fact who is Boeing, the modern Boeing. The modern Boeing is a financial services operation. Okay, they are about cash flow. They are about money. They're not about building airplanes as a sideline for Boeing for their executive management. It's all about cash flow and money. That's the bottom line. And when you deal with large corporate, and it's firsthand experience dealing with large corporations versus small business. Okay, large corporations, you've got like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 layers of management between the people that are on the bottom line actually doing things like, screwing in a screw or changing a light bulb, whatever, and then the CEO level up there. About 3 levels from the bottom, everything above that becomes corporate management where the people have zero direct involvement with whatever the end product is. They're not down there designing it. They're not writing the software code. They're not down there, painting or polishing or cutting a hole or whatever. So they're disconnected from the actual product that the company sells. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes financial games. It becomes, the managers. What's your manager's? The manager is given a goal by the CEO. Says we need to grow the company 10% next year. Okay. Doesn't say how. It just says we need to grow 10% because that's what our investors expect. That's the money aspect. And so that gets filtered down, and you're sitting there 3 tiers down, and say, all right, we're gonna do a 10% growth next year. So he goes down to all his sub managers and just passes that down. Says 10%, and then you get down to the level where you actually have to do the 10%. It's like, well, that's pretty damn hard to grow 10%, because you said we had to grow it. It's like our customer doesn't have 10% more money. We're already in a market that's saturated.
Well, and I've toured the Boeing plant out in Seattle, and to make an aircraft takes a really long time. The order is like from a couple years prior.
Yep.
So how do you add 10% to that when you've already had people pay for stuff? And
right, exactly.
You can't change that.
you can't change it. The market is what the market is, and
right. And somebody's paid you $1 billion to deliver however many airplanes, and now you can't go, oh, Bidenomics, it's got to be $1 billion, $2 billion now.
Right, but it all goes back to the economic incentives for each of the management levels. And the management levels are, if you can't grow, one way to grow 10% is to cut your cost so that your profits go up, right? So if you can find cheaper parts or do less labor or whatever, that's the other way to get your growth is quote, through efficiencies. And that's what Boeing does. They go out there and they say, all right, well, we're gonna cut the QA staff, because we've got procedures in place that take care of the QA.
QA is quality assurance. We don't want to be cutting quality insurance, especially from what we've seen lately.
And that's how you miss things like, oh, they didn't bolt the door in when they put it back in, they didn't bolt it in because nobody went back and checked behind them to make sure the door was bolted in. That door that came off was exactly that. There were no Boeing employees took the door off, unbolted it, took the bolts off, took the door out, let another company do the repairs, and then somebody from Boeing put the door in and didn't put the bolts in. And nobody from Boeing came back and checked on it. The quality assurance people did not come back and check the job was done right. And there's no
we're not focusing on what we need to focus. So I know we need to do a rapid fire round, John.
You can't pass legislation to fix that, Veronica. That's the point. That's the problem with Washington. They think they can pass a law that says fix your quality problems. You can't do that.
No,
you
have to already have a good quality organization already with the right people. But this story just is breaking. A high school soccer game at the public field in New York City was canceled after 30 illegal immigrants from Africa who spoke very little English refused to leave the field even after the police showed up. When one of the coaches, Eric whatever, asked them to leave the field, 4 of the 5 illegal immigrants told him, who don't speak English, you know what, F it, we don't have to leave, we can do whatever we want. Well, they sure didn't know how to speak English on that. To try and resolve the issue, the police asked the coach for the club team's city permit, but they had it in an email. It took 30 minutes to get there, and at that point they were feeling nervous. So even when the game's over, you don't know if these illegals are waiting for you. So even if the cops kick them out, it may not be over. So we just all agreed this is too dangerous. So parents were rattled. This just happened. And guess who's in charge? It's the illegals. So I wrote, Americans never the priority anymore. This was, kids were supposed to play a game, American kids, and they couldn't even play on the soccer field. Is this every day? Every day we have this. Well,
we live in a lawless society, unless you're a targeted political
person. Wasn't it this
we're a
week
lawless
that
society.
DeSantis signed the squatter bill, so you can't be a squatter officially in Florida anymore, which is great. I wanted to hit real quick, the Gulf Coast Salute Air Show is coming. I've lived here 10 years in the Panhandle. We've never had one over the water. It's May 4th and 5th, so I'm going to see if I can get the wing commander who's been a regular on our show. And if you've never seen one, and especially if you have a boat, oh my gosh, come to the Panhandle, Panama City Beach. And they actually do the practice show. That's probably the one to see, because when I worked all the time doing air shows in Vegas with the Thunderbirds, the practice shows when we would have all the VIPs come, and it was just always amazing to be out there. And oh my gosh, we'd have so much fun after the show, John.
I think you see more at the practice show. To me, the low level stuff, and I remember seeing the practice show up when I was up at Pax River, Maryland. A long time ago, because it was an F-14. The F-14 guy, he had a practice session, okay, and he was doing some stuff that he wasn't going to do in the show because he knew his only audience was a bunch of Navy guys that were sitting there
it's
on the line.
The VIPs when I was in Vegas, and my favorite air show ever, because I would do air shows with 150,000 people. This one particular air show I worked, the Red Bull organization set up a full-on bar on the flight line with the girls in their cute little Red Bull outfits, pill tops. That was the first time I had a diet Red Bull with whatever it was, vodka, and I was up for 3 days. So I'll never have. That's the only time I've ever had a Red Bull. But so much fun back in the day. But I do encourage everybody to come out for that. Coca-Cola is a sponsor, and that's great. That does show we're coming back on track.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to.
And they're even they're going to have an LCAC demo. Talk about something that's different.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
That's the landing craft. It's a hovercraft that I've worked on for 40 years.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I'm presuming they're going to drive one by, probably about a half mile offshore or something, but driving by it. Maybe at 50 or 60 knots.
Well, the F-22 demo, I've seen it 5 million times, is breathtaking, because that thing can just float in the air, go backwards. So if you've never seen an F-22 demo, I highly recommend it.
The whole air show is worth the F-22 demo. It really is.
Oh, it's literally it's eye-watering. It's so incredible. But we got so May 3rd, the practice show. Everything's 10 to 4. May 4th, May 5th here in the Panhandle. We got everybody to come out. I'm trying to see what we missed. I did a big event this week because I'm people hire me to do things because I'm a public affairs and protocol, I say, goddess, John, and so I got hired to do an event for a billionaire, Francis Greenberger, and he belongs to Time Equities. And so I got all the press there, got all the VIPs there, made sure it was perfect because he invested $50 million here in the Panhandle. So it was a stellar event. And he's got a book called Risk Game. So I think he's worth $4 billion. His company's worth $6 billion. And then he took all of the team that put this event on for the launch of this property to dinner. And so I actually got to ride with him in my car for 30 minutes because everybody thought he needed to be with me. And so I cannot wait. And I've got his book. I've been reading the book. How do you become a billionaire? What's important to you? And one of the things he said in the car with me was that, having great employees that have allegiance to you. And when you reviewed his employees, many of them had been with him for 18 years. And like his first book, or his first building he made in Manhattan was called 50 West. And the trials and tribulations of making, it's probably it's probably a $400 building now, million, but 20 years ago it was like 150 million. Just all of that, success and hard work. And his dad had a literary firm, and so I cannot wait to talk to him. about that. So I'm working to schedule him. And then our next big show, we've got the CEO, president of the Bay County Chamber, Patrick Chapin. And he actually was one of the speakers I recruited to do my event. So it was kind of his first launch out into our county. And he was just so pro, growth and expansion, and was wonderful. So I can't wait to host him. And then you and I have an interview this week with Donald Howe, and he's the President and Chief Financial Officer of the Southern Sky Aviation new FBO. What does FBO stand for again? I can never remember.
Fixed Based Operator.
Yes, so they've planted, how much did you say? I read 25 million. You said 34 million?
I was talking to the general manager out there a couple days ago, and I swear he told me they spent 34 million on that place.
And that is, host all the private jets, because the growth in our region, we're located in the Panhandle with 30A, and it's the playground of the rich with all these incredible mansions and 5-star restaurants, which I'm going there tonight for dinner because it's so good. So we'll have him on, and I'm trying to see, I've got some big guests always booked, and I just can't wait because the shows are just so incredible. But I had such a great week, and CFO Petronas actually, I always ask big people to come and do things for my events, and political players can never concentrate till 2 days before. So 2 days before my event, they're like, Veronica, he's coming, go, go, go. So he was my big headliner, and I joked with that where the CFO goes, the press will follow. So I knew all the press would come easily, even though I'd been working them for a couple weeks. So that was wonderful, and he was very gracious, and he actually did a whole Veronica PSA that he was impressed with my event, and I got the whole world there before he gave his riveting words. But yes, and like I told all the people from New York, I said, this is our future governor. And so they were just, because we've had him on the show, and he's been cleared to run for governor after DeSantis, and we really need him to run for governor because I think he's the right guy, and he gave a very impassioned riveting words about this $50 million endeavor. And of course we would like the billionaire to bring more money to our town, of course. So
get out of New York and come to Florida, that's where the growth is at.
And then this week too of working out, so I am moving a little bit, John. It's hard to get back into it.
well, that kind of brings up one of the stories we had in the afterburner was all about the Wegovy, Ozempic,
I wanted to talk about that. That's right.
Stuff,
because working out is no fun. I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. People don't want to work out, so they're taking these what are diabetes drugs, and that just happen
like $100 a week.
Yeah,
I know plenty of people have lost so much weight on it, but that's like the easy way out. Because the news story too, John, is that they're so concerned, like Jessica Simpson, this guy named Scott Disk that was a Kardashian daddy. Like they're so gaunt now. That was the story that came out yesterday because they've gone to the extreme. Even like the Queen of Belgium, who's always been a beautiful woman that was thin. Now she's like mega thin. She never was mega thin because they're all doing it.
I know, and you see people and you're like, look at them and like, are they sick? Do they have cancer or something? I mean, they look so.
They're gaunt looking, thin, and now they're looking anorexic. Like Sharon Osbourne. Oh my gosh, she looks horrible now.
But the problem is, Veronica, is there's side effects to these drugs.
Yes.
And you can't get off of them. If you get off of them, you gain back all the weight. Okay. I mean, that's what these studies are showing. It's like, you're on this forever.
Okay, well, I'll stick to the damn gym. It's been hell.
But the list price on this stuff is like $1,000 a month.
No, I know people, they pay a couple $100 a week, and
the insurance companies are not covering them. The insurance companies left and right are dropping this stuff,
which is so funny because a lot of the people I know were very overweight and lost anywhere from 50 to 150 pounds, and you think you'd be healthier by losing this weight, because if you're on high blood med, cholesterol, all that stuff, diabetes, that you think that would be a good thing for the insurance companies.
Well, the problem I have was to me, it's off label. Okay, that number one, except I think Wegovy's actually approved as weight loss, but Ozempic and I think Jardian are diabetic drugs. But the fact that the insurance companies are dropping coverage of the drugs So if you're a diabetic and you need these drugs, and the only reason I say this is because my sister is on Ozempic, and she does have diabetes. She's got type 2 diabetes. That's why she's on it. And it's like, she's having a hell of a time getting them to cover the drug cost.
Oh,
because she needs it for medical. She needs it for medical purposes, right?
Okay.
Not weight loss. And so, but they're throwing it all into one big pile because what's coming back on is saying the federal government is sticking their nose in it and saying you can't discriminate on the drug coverage. Either you cover the drug or you don't cover the drug.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it's being misused for weight loss, if you want to look at it that way, is impacting the people that actually need it for medical purposes. And to me, it's like there's something. I know the drug system, the medical system is all broke, but it is something. But I just don't understand why these people are getting on the drug. The side effects are pretty horrible. The influencers, I was reading this yesterday. They're the influencers on social media are being paid to promote these drugs.
Well, but they look too
but
skinny.
Not talking about side
Jessica
effects.
Simpson was already skinny and pretty, and now they're starting to look anorexic. So that's the problem. Is that?
But they're not talking about the side effects, the migraines. Apparently, vomiting
diarrhea,
is fairly
nausea.
normal. Yeah, diarrhea. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And
that's normal. And it's like why people want to live like that is just beyond. But as soon as you stop taking it, you're going to get the weight back. So it's change your lifestyle. You want to lose weight, change your lifestyle. Okay,
John, I'm in the
change
gym.
How you and go to the gym.
It's horrible.
Okay.
I love the easy route, but like you said,
Right.
that's not going to do it for you.
Right. If you want to make it permanent, change your lifestyle. That's how you do it. That's the right way to do it. But
we've had a tremendous show. We've got some excellent future guests ahead of us, and I hope you feel better, my friend.
I do too. I think the worst is over, so hopefully it'll get better here over the next week or two.
All right. Well, we thank Representative Griff Griffiths. All of our guests today were Veronica Live regulars and former Congressman Jeff Davis, who was from Kentucky but resides in Florida. And everybody was brilliant. So we're fighting the fight for America, and November matters. So be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And all the podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Podcast Addict, YouTube. I post a lot on LinkedIn. I still haven't recovered my account because I was so busy doing the billionaire event this week that I'm still working on my LinkedIn. And but yes, it's been a great show. And if you'd like to sponsor us, DM me on X. And we want to grow the show because we truly, it's been 3.5 years of the most incredible guests, John. We are so blessed.
I know.
Blessed. So. Anyways, check us out. You can also hear some of our prior interviews on all those podcast platforms. And have a blessed week, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Veronica Live out.